Hi, I'm Mark Cecchini, Professor and Associate Dean at the Darla Moore School of Business. Unless you're completely off the grid, you're probably aware that artificial intelligence has taken business by storm. It's bringing both hype and dread in equal parts. The big question is, how fast is this thing going to take off, and how much or how little control will we have once it does? You may have heard of the term the singularity. That term was coined by Ray Kurzweil. That's the moment when machines become smarter than we are. And the question on everyone's mind is, will they be friend or foe? Can I answer that question for you? Well, sadly, no. But I can help you understand when we'll approach the business version of the singularity. That's when business as we know it will become a thing of the past. All right, let's start from the beginning. This is Marvin Minsky, often credited as the father of AI, and one of the people who coined the term artificial intelligence. Then, in 1958, Frank Rosenblatt wrote a paper describing the perceptron, which is a system designed to electronically simulate neurons in our brains. The perceptron became the foundation of neural networks, which are at the core of today's AI explosion. So why did I go that far back? Well, because these core components have been around for nearly 70 years. It only took a slight tweak in the model for things to really take off. So there's really three causes of it. But the first cause is this guy, Geoff Hinton. So who's Geoff Hinton? Well, Geoff Hinton is a professor from University of Toronto. And Geoff Hinton takes the regular old neural network and figures out how to sort of supercharge it. Basically what he does is he takes two neural networks and he puts one on top of the other and figures out how to tie those two things together. And that is what starts out what we call deep learning today. And deep learning is the beginning of the next AI spring, and that spring has continued up to now and led to a lot of the improvements you're seeing going on in the world related to AI. Second reason for all of this is really just data, and more data. And the way AI works is AI lives off of data. It gets better and smarter the more data it has. As of 2021, we had 90% of the world's data was created in the past 2 years. In other words, any data that we have in history, 90% of it was created within the last 2 years. So that gives you a sense of how much data is out there these days. And so with more data, there's more information to crunch and more ability to make predictions. And then the third is getting more and more people involved in it. And that comes as a result of large language models, or what we call generative AI. So generative AI has brought in what I would call end user AI. That's where the large language models have come in, and we now have ChatGPT, we've got Claude, we've got Bard, Copilot, and the big thing from an AI perspective, and why this is part of the AI boom, is that everybody can do it. You don't have to be scientist. You don't have to be a mathematician. All you have to be is an end user. So more and more people are getting involved, which is going to create more and more data. And that's why we're seeing such interest in AI these days. What kind of AI was around before generative AI? Well, all the AI that we've talked about up to now and until large language models came around was discriminative AI. Discriminative AI can be defined as taking two different classes, and the goal of the machine is actually to classify those as two different things. That's all discriminative AI does. With all of the interesting things you can do with AI in discriminating between apples and oranges and discriminating between fraud and non-fraud, or deciding on whether you're going to enter a new market, product market fit, anything you can think about in business can be done with discriminative AI. So what do the experts think about all this? The authors of The Second Machine Age and Machine Platform Crowd believe that something big is happening for sure. Now they haven't come out and decide whether, we're doomed and a lot of negative things are going to happen, or that everything's going to be a positive utopia. But what they do think is that we need to work together with the machines. The authors of Power and Prediction, who actually incidentally work with Geoff Hinton at University of Toronto, they have actually a very rosy future in mind with AI. They see AI as bringing us all kinds of opportunity. And their reasoning is they see AI as being a prediction machine. It's going to continue to bring more and more predictions into the world, because as it gets better and better and there's more data out there, we're going to see more opportunities for prediction. And all those predictions have to be actually organized and made useful. And the belief is that prediction is not the same as judgment. It requires more human ingenuity to make use of. So the idea is that with more predictions out there, we're going to have more need for judgment, which means the humans are not going to be taken out of the equation anytime soon. So what do you think of all this, Cecchini? Well, I told you from the beginning I wasn't going to necessarily be able to tell you all the answers, but here's what I do know. Thanks to generative AI, the end user can now do more technical things without understanding the underlying technology, and it's getting more and more so each day. For example, check out chain of thought reasoning, or COT. This is actually a thing. It's a structured way for machines to reason more like humans by separating tasks into steps. This means we're getting close to bridging the divide between generative and discriminative AI. So when you can call Alexa from across the room and say, "Hey Alexa, code a discriminative AI using all our customer data to help us decide whether to expand to California or New York," and Alexa can deliver a human-approved, data-driven analysis with a clear decision, that's when you may want to check on your 401k, because the business singularity will be near at that point.